Hi, I'm Dr. Elna Rudolph. I'm the clinical head of My Sexual Health, and I want to welcome you to this sexual pain training. This is the training I gave my team. This is the juicy stuff, the inside stuff. I really hope that you will find great value from it. Many people received the invite to join this training, and you chose to spend your time and your money during such an uncertain period. We are in the middle of the lockdown of COVID-19 at the moment. I'm not sure at what stage you are looking at this video, but still, have decided to spend your time and your money to invest into something that other people will gain from ultimately. And I think that that is really heroic. I want to greet you with a namaste, the Eastern greeting. That one of the meanings of it is that the divine in me sees the divine in you. And I really believe that it is due to divine intervention that I'm here today and that I'm able to share my experience and expertise with you. And I also believe that it is the divine in you that has brought you here to learn about these softer skills and the academics around sexual pain, because it takes so much more than just knowledge to help people with sexual pain. I am going to read some of this because it is so important to me that I really share my story with you and that I don't forget about anything. So many people think that my sexual health is exactly that it's about my sexual health. They think that I became a sexologist because I've got sexual issues, or that I became a sexual pain expert because I experienced sexual pain myself. And it's not only true for me, but for any other person that becomes an expert in something related to sexuality, people think, oh, they must have issues. I got married at the age of 22 as a virgin from an Afrikaans, very conservative, well, I won't say very conservative, but typical Afrikaans conservative background. So surely she must have issues, and that's why she became a sexologist. But I can tell you, no, I think it has been my calling right from the start to be a sexologist. But what I can tell you is that I do know what it feels like to experience sexual pain. I know what it feels like to want to tell my husband to go south because I am just so overwhelmed and can't even imagine thinking about sex or trying to sort out my sexual pain, because I experienced sexual pain after the birth of both of my children. I know what it feels like to look at those dilators with absolute resentment and fear. I know what it feels like to doubt the quality and authenticity of my relationship because sex is so painful. I know how vulnerable you feel when you lie down on that physio bed. I know how stupid you feel when you don't know how to relax your pelvic floor. I know how irritable you can get when you suffer from chronic pain. Mine is chronic hip pain. I know how difficult it is to make time for yourself to do the exercises. I know how badly I wanted to lie to the physiotherapist about how much time I spent on my exercises. I know what it feels like to be completely overwhelmed and feel pressured into attending to my sexual pain when it's the absolute last thing on my list of priorities, and my list is flipping long. And just to put it out there, I also know what it feels like if your husband of 10 years leaves you for another woman. And I know what it feels like to undergo 10 fertility treatments and still not have a baby. By the grace of God, I also now know what it feels like to have a partner in my life that is really a partner, and to have two beautiful children. And I also know what it feels like to have a mother who committed suicide due to chronic pain. My mother had a brain tumor and it could not be operated on. And she was such a strong woman. And she decided to take her own life due to the severity of the pain. So I guess that is also part of my story that makes me passionate about helping people with chronic pain. Anyway, in my case, when I had the pain, I was lucky enough to already be an expert. And I resolved it relatively quickly. But it still took a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of emotional energy and distress to treat my sexual pain. These experiences have certainly helped me to put me in a better position to be able to understand and help my patients. But it's, however, not the reason why I became an expert in sexual pain. As I mentioned, I was already an expert by the time that all of these things happened. I'm saying expert now, but anyway, it's my passion. It is what I do. I have helped thousands of women with sexual pain over the years, and it really is my passion. All of our experiences are so important, and it makes us who we are as clinicians, but we should not confuse it for science. We have to know the science. We have to read the textbooks. We have to read the research. We have to attend the conferences. We have to speak to the experts. And all of this then gives us the opportunity to gain actual experience in working with patients. And then we can put our personality and our hearts into that. But of course, the science forms the basis of all of this. Some of you attending this training already have buckets of experience when it comes to women's health, or whether you're a psychologist treating people with relationship difficulties, or maybe you've treated people with pain for years, or a gynecologist or medical doctor working in this field, and others of you might just be starting out in this field. It does not matter where you are at. I want you to step out of the boat, to start helping those patients, even if you feel that you don't have the experience yet, because what you can offer them is probably better than nothing. And if you're not sure, rather ask, read, Google, email me, refer if you have to, but don't feel that you don't have the experience after you have completed this training. I want you to get out of the boat. I'm mostly here to talk about the science and to share our experience at My Sexual Health over the past 10 years. Between us, we've done over 10,000 consultations for people with sexual pain, so we do have the experience. But before I do that, I want to tell you that it's the divine in you that brought you to this training, and it might sound too esoteric to you, but I really believe that it is the divine in you that ultimately helps those patients. And that is the reason why I got involved in sexual health, because it was my calling. My parents did not send me to medical school to become a sexologist. I believe if many of you told your parents what kind of training you are busy with, they would have also not been too proud of you. But if they took the time to really hear what it is that you do, when you help patients with sexual pain, I can tell you that they will be very proud. I'm very proud of you for what that is worth. So my journey started in the class of Etienne Cook. We were lucky at the University of Pretoria to have Etienne, who studied in Chicago, who taught us about sexology. And he told us about this couple who got married 27 years ago and had never been able to consummate their relationship. They actually fell pregnant, the woman fell pregnant, and they did coitus interfemoris, where the guy ejaculates between her legs, basically, and she actually fell pregnant from that. And in my practice today, I have 7 couples that have fallen pregnant from coitus interfemoris, and that story just really gripped me, because where they were in Chicago, where he was studying, they taught the women, as part of the treatment process, how to masturbate, to become more comfortable and to eventually allow penetration. And I just realized that one day I'm going to be a GP, and people are going to, or a woman is going to come to me and say, "Doctor, we're going to get divorced because we cannot have sex," and I'm going to have to teach her how to masturbate. And in my conservative Afrikaans culture, that was just never going to be an appropriate treatment option. So I remember driving away there that day and thinking, there must be more. There must be some things about this that we don't know. And that took me on a journey, and I got involved in software development while I was still a student, before software development was big thing in the early 2000s. And we helped people we developed software to help people to discover their purpose. So you would have all of these plugins, and then in the end, you could get to a mission statement. And in my mission statement, I found that there were all of these things that related to the plight of women and women's health, and relationships was very important. And I asked Etienne about it, and he suggested that I go and do a master's degree in sexual health through the University of Sydney in Australia, which I did. And my idea was that governments will ask my advice about how to write their policies around sexual health and women's health. But as you can imagine, at the age of 30, when you have completed a master's degree, governments don't exactly come knocking on your door, and I had to follow a bit of a longer journey than I had anticipated. I was a GP at Intercare at the time, and I actually just got back from the UK, where I did a higher diploma in HIV medicine and sexual health. Well, I was studying for it while I was there, but it was through the colleges of medicine in South Africa. And while I was working at as a GP there, I found out that I was actually the only doctor in South Africa in 8 years that has passed that particular qualification. And for the physios year and the doctors, you know, if a patient, and you typically would put a plaster of Paris like this for a patient. I don't even know, I can't remember what kind of fracture it was. And when I got home that evening, I put the plaster of Paris like that, and I just realized, Elna, you cannot be a GP. I really hated it because I want to know everything about a small field. And that's, I guess, why one of the reasons why I chose sexual medicine, because you can really, it's easy to be a big fish in a smaller pond, but you know, you can really stay on top of the research and learn everything about this particular field, and I found it very, very rewarding so far. But anyway, while I was with Intercare, I asked Dr. Hendrik Hanekom, who was the CEO of Intercare, if he will allow me to start a Center for Sexual Health in Intercare, because I just got back from the UK, where I saw that there was a genitourinary medicine clinic basically around every corner. And in South Africa, we didn't have a place where people with sexual health related needs could really go to. Of course, you can go to your GP, you can go to the gynecologist, the urologist, but there is not a specific center focused on sexual health per se. And I wanted to have it national. So I asked him, and they provided me with everything I needed to start the first Center for Sexual Health in Intercare Silver Lakes, everything except for a salary. The first month, I earned a whopping 625 Rand, and the next month it was just over 1,000 Rand. Luckily, I didn't have pressure to earn money at that stage, so I was just sitting around waiting for patients. But I wrote this fantastic business plan that convinced Dr. Hanekom, but patients didn't come. The uptake was very, very slow. And I want to tell you, if that's the case for you, if you feel like you've done everything and you even done this, my sexual health, sexual pain training thing, and the patients are still not coming, just keep going. Do your marketing, be active online, engage with your colleagues. Always write a letter back to a doctor that has referred to you. That is something that I learned from my professor in the Porterbrook Clinic in the UK where I worked. He wrote a letter back to every single person that was involved in the patient's care, and I think that's great marketing for your practice. Anyway, when I started the first Center for Sexual Health, the first thing I did was to start a multidisciplinary team, because that's what I saw at the Porterbrook Clinic. They had 40-something people working together to treat these patients. They were focused on transgender patients primarily, and I just thought, wow, imagine that. Imagine 40 people working together, psychologists, social workers, occupational therapists, image consultant, medical doctors, different kinds of medical doctors, psychiatrists and gynecologists and urologists and physicians. And it was just such a privilege to see how all of that came together. So I knew that I needed that when I started the first center in 2010. And Elmarie Craig and Eugene Fillion were established sexologists in my area, so I immediately approached them. And then I found out that there are these physiotherapists who have specialist training in women's health, and there were a few of them in my area, so I also invited them, and it was we started in this tiny little room there in Insecure in Silver Lakes, and we just got together and shared our knowledge and experience and started talking about the challenges that we experienced with the patients that we shared, and we learned from each other over the years. Now we called it the PPPPF. My husband always makes fun of me because it's the pelviperennial, the Pretoria Pelviperennial Pain Forum initially, and that was the start of the My Sexual Health Multidisciplinary Team meetings. Now we've had around 100 of those meetings, and all of us find it so valuable to learn from each other. If you are in an area and there's no multidisciplinary team, start one. There's nothing keeping you from inviting your colleagues to come into a room and start talking about your knowledge and about the challenges that you experience with patients, and share and learn from each other. You are, of course, also welcome to join the My Sexual Health Multidisciplinary Team. If you are interested in joining, please send me an email directly. I'm ER for Elna Rudolph at mysexualhealth.coza, and we can talk about it. So I have to get back to my place in my story. In 2013, when my husband left me, I was drowning my sorrows in work, and I had a bit of money. So it was the ideal opportunity for me to go out of Intercare, and that's when I established My Sexual Health. And Intercare was really so kind to allow me to basically detangle my business from them, because I realized that it was important to create a brand. And I married Johan in 2015 and then moved to Johannesburg, and I sold my practice to Jeray Serfontein, who's now the My Sexual Health doctor in Pretoria. We've got Dr. Larissa Badenhorst with us in Bryanston, and Jean Aspeling, who was with me in Johannesburg, has moved down to Cape Town now. I used to fly down to Cape Town every now and then, but now she's in Cape Town permanently, and we've got a whole multidisciplinary team set up in Cape Town as well. So I can tell you about many, many divine interventions along the way, and there are so many people who have really helped me, and I am so thankful for this process and for every person who has helped me. I'm thinking of somebody like Professor Elna McIntosh, who was like a hero to me, and she started joining our multidisciplinary team meetings in Johannesburg, and she's like a mother to all of us, and she is our mentor at My Sexual Health. And there are other consultants and professors that I phone almost on a weekly basis, and lots of international people that I'll email and ask for advice about patients, and it is such a privilege. I was so impressed by Porterbrook, who had a multidisciplinary team of 40-odd people, and today My Sexual Health has 42 members. It is not something, I mean, I don't want to be, we have not arrived, is what I want to say. The dream has always been to build a national system, and preferably something that can go out into Africa as well. We now have members in Botswana and in Namibia, and the My Sexual Health slogan is love life with confidence. And our dream has always been to create a platform where healthcare providers can come together and learn about sexual health. And that is basically what this training is about, and that is what our team is also about. So COVID has forced us online. You know, we were previously meeting at our practice, and people were coming all over Johannesburg, and they were meeting in Pretoria as well. And I had a few meetings in Cape Town when I was there. But now we can have our meetings online, and that is just really giving the dream wings and making it possible for more people to come and contribute and share and learn with us. And I'm sitting on the south coast of Natal in lockdown at the moment and loving it. I'm looking at the breakers on the beach as we speak. I'm not sure when I will be back in Johannesburg, but let the show go on. I want to invite you to go and look at the My Sexual Health website. So it's mysexualhealth.co.za. You can like the My Sexual Health page on Facebook. I am at Sexologist Mom on Twitter, on Instagram, and Dr Elna Rudolph on Twitter. I have included a separate slide for you with all of the links that I talk about during this training. So you will be able to get all of those links on that slide. And we also have a My Sexual Health shop. If you are a member of My Sexual Health, your patients get a 5% discount and you get a 5% commission. But it's really a boutique sexual health shop with curated items that are there for specific sexual health needs. You know, if you just want to find fun things to play with, there are much better shops. But if you're looking for the highest quality sexual health products for your patients, that is a good place to go to. And the reason why I have the shop is basically to sell our dilators. We've got custom-made vaginal dilators that it's from medical grade silicone, and we have sold thousands of units and with no comebacks, and it really is a product that I'm proud of and that I know that has helped thousands of patients to have pain-free intercourse. So I hope you enjoy this training. Let's get into the work.